come down the waterfront to see these submarines being built. It is truly a magical thing.
Imagine standing on a quiet waterfront, watching something the size of a skyscraper slowly slide into the ocean and then vanish. No splash, no waves, no sound. The water closes over it like it was never there. But somewhere beneath the surface, the most terrifying machine ever built by humans has just begun its patrol. This isn't a weapon designed to fight wars. It's designed to make wars impossible. Because the real danger isn't its size or even what it carries. It's the fact that no one can find it. The United States has just deployed a submarine so silent it doesn't sound like a machine at all. And while everyone is distracted by this ghost beneath the waves, a second, even more unsettling program is quietly taking shape right behind it. One that could change underwater warfare forever.
The stealthiest submarine that the U.S. Navy has ever produced.
Picture the Empire State Building laid on its side and pushed beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Now imagine doing it without a single splash, without a ripple, without anyone knowing exactly where it went. That's the reality of the USS District of Columbia, the first of the brand new Columbia-class ballistic missile submarines. This vessel isn't meant to chase enemies or win battles in dramatic fashion. Its job is far more unsettling than that. It exists to disappear. For decades, the United States has relied on submarines as the final layer of its national defense. While fighter jets can be tracked and missile silos can be mapped, a submarine like this is different. Once it leaves port, it effectively stops existing to the outside world. For months at a time, it moves silently through the deepest parts of the ocean, carrying a level of destructive power so overwhelming that no rational enemy can afford to ignore it. That's what makes the Columbia class so frightening. It isn't a symbol of aggression, it's a reminder. As long as one of these ghosts is somewhere beneath the waves, no attack on the United States can ever feel safe. And this new class wasn't built just to replace what came before. It was built to fix a dangerous weakness that had been quietly growing for decades. For years, that responsibility fell to the Ohio-class submarines. These were the legends of the Cold War, massive, silent deterrents built in the 1970s and 80s, designed to lurk in the depths and hold an entire world in check. And they worked. For decades, their very existence helped keep nuclear war from ever becoming reality. But time is ruthless, even to machines built for the end of the world. The Ohio-class fleet is aging, and the problem isn't just worn steel or outdated electronics. At the heart of each of those submarines is a nuclear reactor that, halfway through its life, must be shut down, cut open, and refueled. That process isn't quick. It takes years. And during those years, that submarine isn't lurking in the ocean. It's sitting in a shipyard, silent for all the wrong reasons. Every time an Ohio-class boat goes in for refueling, it leaves behind a gap, one less invisible guardian on patrol. The Navy realized this was more than an inconvenience. It was a strategic vulnerability. So instead of patching the problem or extending old designs, they made a decision that would quietly reshape naval warfare. They wouldn't just upgrade the Ohio class. They would erase its biggest weakness entirely. At the center of that decision is something most people will never see, yet it defines everything this submarine can do. Deep inside the hull of the Columbia class sits a brand new nuclear reactor known as the S-1B. And unlike anything that came before it, this reactor is designed to last the submarine's entire life. More than 40 years. No refueling, no midlife overhaul, no forced return to port. From the day the submarine slips beneath the waves to the day it's finally retired, its power source never needs to be touched. That single change completely rewrites the rules of deterrence. Instead of disappearing for years at a time, the Columbia can stay available, patrol after patrol, always ready, always hit. Over the lifetime of the fleet, that decision alone is expected to save tens of billions of dollars. But the real impact isn't financial. It's strategic. And the reactor's longevity isn't even the most unsettling part. It's how that power is used. Older submarines relied on massive reduction gears to transfer energy to the propeller. Those gears, no matter how precise, made noise. They had a sound one enemy sonar operators learned to recognize like a fingerprint. The Columbia class removed them entirely. Instead of gears, its reactor feeds electricity into a massive electric motor. Fewer moving parts, less vibration, less sound. And what comes next is how a machine this large learned to sound like nothing at all. Silence is the real weapon of the Columbia class, and achieving it is no small feat. The submarine doesn't just rely on a quiet reactor. It was designed from the keel up to disappear in the ocean. Its massive pump jet propulsor channels water through a shrouded system of blades, smoothing out every ripple and preventing cavitation. The tiny popping bubbles that give ordinary propellers away. The result is propulsion so subtle, it blends completely with the natural hum of the sea. But it's not just the propeller. Every machine inside the sub, the turbines, the generators, the pumps, even the air conditioning, is mounted on an internal raft, suspended by shock absorbers that trap vibration. Noise that would normally escape into the water, revealing its position, simply dies inside the hull. Some submarines might try to hide from sonar by depth alone. But the Columbia doesn't just hide, it erases itself from detection. Add in thousands of anechoic tiles glued to the hull, designed to trap any sonar ping and dissipate it as heat. And the Columbia becomes something far more frightening than a simple warship. It becomes an acoustic black hole. To the outside world, it's as if the submarine never existed at all. And yet, hidden beneath the waves, it waits, carrying the most devastating payload ever designed, poised to strike in a way no one can predict. But the ghost story doesn't end here, because while this submarine disappears, another program is quietly building something very different, something designed not to hide, but to hunt. Beneath its armored deck, the Columbia-class submarine carries a payload designed to make the concept of war unthinkable. 16 Trident 2D5 LE missiles sit ready in massive launch tubes, each one capable of reaching targets over 7,000 miles away. These aren't ordinary missiles. They're multi-warhead, life-extended weapons, each able to strike multiple targets on different continents with pinpoint accuracy. One submarine, quietly hidden anywhere in the world's oceans, could threaten over 100 locations in under half an hour. At first glance, 16 missiles might seem like a step down from the Ohio class, which carried 24. But this is no downgrade. It's a sign of smarter, more efficient design. Fewer missiles mean the vessel is quieter, more survivable, and harder to detect. The Navy learned that 16 is more than enough to provide a terrifying deterrent. In fact, this careful balance between power and stealth is what makes the Columbia so effective. It can disappear and still carry a force so total, so final, that no enemy can risk testing it. And the design doesn't stop at stealth and firepower. The missile compartment itself was developed in partnership with the United Kingdom, sharing technology that will also appear in their next-generation Dreadnought-class submarines. The goal is clear: build a vessel that can vanish for months, never be found, and serve as the ultimate insurance policy for a world on the edge of conflict. For rivals, knowing this ghost exists is enough to keep them awake at night. But while the Columbia hides and waits, the Navy isn't stopping there. Somewhere else, another project is taking shape, one built not to vanish, but to hunt. And what comes next could redefine undersea warfare forever. While the Columbia class is designed to disappear, the U.S. Navy is quietly building its opposite, a submarine meant to hunt. It doesn't carry the responsibility of ending the world with a single command. Its job is more surgical, more aggressive, and far more unpredictable. For now, it goes by a simple code name, SSNX, short for Attack Submarine Experimental. And that X doesn't mean prototype, it means next generation. To understand why the SSNX matters, you have to look at what came before it. Today's workhorse is the Virginia-class submarine. It's fast, heavily armed, and incredibly quiet, built for everything from hunting enemy subs to launching special forces near hostile coastlines. But the world has shifted again. Naval strategy is no longer focused on small regional conflicts. It's preparing for massive, open ocean confrontations, where control of the deep could decide everything. And in that environment, a flexible multi-tool isn't enough. The Navy wants a predator. The SSNX is being designed to combine the most powerful traits of every submarine that came before it: the raw speed and firepower of the legendary Seawolf class, the advanced sensors and stealth of the Virginia class, and the long-lasting, never-refuel reactor philosophy of the Columbia class. The result will be a hunter larger and more powerful than any attack submarine currently in service. Faster, quieter, and able to stay on station longer than anything an adversary can feel. But what truly sets the SSNX apart isn't its size or its weapons, it's the role it's being built to play. This submarine won't just fight enemies directly, it will command them from the shadows. And that's where the story takes a much darker turn. The true power of the SSNX isn't in its torpedoes, it's in its brain. This submarine is being designed as a deep-sea mothership, the silent commander of a robotic underworld that never reveals its own position. Instead of charging toward an enemy, the SSNX stays far back, submerged deep, making no sound at all. And from there, it releases its real weapons. Hidden inside its reconfigurable payload bay is a swarm of unmanned underwater vehicles, or UUVs, dozens of them. They spread out across miles of ocean, forming a coordinated wolf pack. Some act as scouts, listening and mapping the underwater battlefield. Others move forward as decoys, deliberately exposing themselves to confuse enemy sensors. And a select few are larger, loitering machines, armed, patient, and waiting for the right moment to strike. The SSNX itself never pings sonar and never fires a shot. Instead, it listens through its swarm. An advanced battle system powered by artificial intelligence ingests enormous streams of data from every drone at once. Sonar echoes, magnetic disturbances, pressure changes in the water. In seconds, it builds a precise three-dimensional picture of everything moving in the area. When the target is identified, the command doesn't come from the submarine's torpedo room. It's sent wirelessly to the swarm. Miles away, the drones come alive. Weapons launch from directions no one expects. The enemy is hit from multiple angles by attacks that seem to come from nowhere. And while they scramble to find the submarine responsible, the truth is far more unsettling. The SSNX is already slipping away in total silence, having never exposed itself at all. This isn't just stealth, it's decision precision, superiority, and it may be the future of underwater warfare. But all of this raises an obvious question. How do machines this large actually disappear? How do you hide a 20,000-ton steel giant in the open ocean? The answer isn't one trick or one piece of technology. It's an obsession with silence that has been refined for decades. And it starts with defeating the two ways submarines are found: active sonar and passive listening. Active sonar is the one people recognize from the movies, the loud ping sent through the water, waiting for an echo to bounce back. To defeat that, modern U.S. submarines are covered in thousands of specialized anechoic tiles. These aren't simple rubber pads. They're layered, classified materials designed to absorb sound energy. When an enemy ping hits the hull, it doesn't bounce back. It gets trapped, converted into heat, and simply dies. To the sonar operator waiting for a return signal, there's nothing, just empty water. But most hunters avoid active sonar for a reason. That ping gives away their own position instantly. The real game is passive sonar, pure listening. This is where American submarines excel. Every noise-making component inside the sub is isolated, suspended, or redesigned to eliminate vibration. Even the propulsor pushes water in a way that avoids the tiny bubbles that create telltale sound signatures. To enemy sensors, the submarine doesn't register as a machine. It blends into the ocean itself. And then there's the environment. Skilled commanders use layers of temperature and salinity in the ocean, like natural cloaking fields. By slipping beneath a thermal layer, a submarine can cause enemy sonar to reflect harmlessly away. Add in magnetic signature masking, and the result is unsettling. These submarines don't just hide in the sea, they become part of it. And this level of invisibility wasn't born overnight. It was earned in a silent war, fought long before today's technology existed. Long before the Columbia-class or the SNX ever existed, that silent war was already being fought beneath the waves. During the height of the Cold War, the oceans became an invisible battlefield, and the United States needed a hunter that could track its rivals without ever being seen. That hunter was the Los Angeles-class submarine, also known as the 688 class. And for its time, it was a predator unlike anything the world had known. When the first of these submarines launched in the mid-1970s, the world was divided and constantly on edge. Soviet ballistic missile submarines were slipping out of port, carrying weapons that could erase entire cities. The job of the 688 class was simple and terrifying. Find them, follow them, and be ready if the unthinkable ever happened. These boats weren't the biggest or flashiest, but they were fast, deep-diving, and quiet enough to stalk enemy submarines for weeks at a time without being detected. Life aboard them was defined by tension. Sonar operators sat in darkened rooms, listening for sounds so faint they bordered on imagination. A drop tool, a change in propeller rhythm, a subtle vibration in the water. And every crew lived in fear of one maneuver above all others: the Crazy Ivan. Without warning, a Soviet captain might slam his submarine into a sudden 180-degree turn, scanning the water behind him to see if anyone was following. If the American sub didn't react instantly, it could be detected, or worse, collide in the dark. This was the era that forged modern submarine warfare. It proved that silence could be more powerful than firepower, and that patience could win battles no one would ever know about. But as effective as the Los Angeles class was, it also taught the Navy a hard lesson. Technology keeps moving forward, and to stay ahead, sometimes you have to build something even more extreme. That push towards something more extreme led to a submarine that many still consider the most powerful hunter ever built. It was called the Seawolf class, and it was designed at the very end of the Cold War when the Navy wanted absolute dominance beneath the waves. Seawolf wasn't meant to compete, it was meant to overwhelm. Faster than anything before it, able to dive deeper, and armed with an unprecedented number of weapons, it represented the peak of what submarine technology could achieve at the time. Seawolf carried 8 torpedo tubes instead of the usual 4 and could unleash a massive mix of torpedoes and missiles in rapid succession. Its reactor produced so much power that even today, it's rumored to be capable of underwater speeds no other submarine can match. For enemy captains, encountering a Seawolf would have been a nightmare if they ever knew it was there at all. But there was a problem. Seawolf was almost too good. Each submarine cost billions, and as the Cold War ended, the appetite for such an expensive, specialized weapon vanished. What was supposed to be a fleet of dozens was cut down to just 3 boats. The program was quietly shelved, not because it failed, but because it succeeded at a price the world was no longer willing to pay. That decision changed everything. The Navy learned that dominance alone wasn't enough. Cost, flexibility, and adaptability mattered just as much as raw power. Those lessons directly shaped the submarines that followed, influencing every design choice in the Virginia class, and ultimately paving the way for the Columbia and the future SSNX. All of this technology, all of this silence and precision, comes at a cost that has nothing to do with money. It's paid by the people who take these machines into the deep. For the sailors aboard America's submarines, life becomes total isolation the moment they leave port. When a ballistic missile submarine begins a patrol, it can vanish for 3 months or more, completely cut off from the outside world. No calls home, no news, no updates, just silence. To keep these submarines on station almost constantly, the Navy relies on a system few people ever think about. Each Columbia-class boat is crewed by two full teams, a blue crew and a gold crew. One crew takes the submarine out on patrol while the other waits ashore. The moment the sub returns, the crews switch, and within days it slips back beneath the waves. The submarine itself is at sea for most of the year. Always hit, always ready. The ship never truly rests. On attack submarines, the conditions are even tighter. Space is so limited that many sailors don't even have their own bed. They hot bunk, sharing the same sleeping space across different shifts. Privacy disappears. Every sound matters. A dropped tool, a raised voice, even a careless step can echo through the hull. In an environment built around silence, perfection isn't optional. These submarines are engineered to last for decades. The people inside them are not. And that pressure, knowing that a single mistake could expose the entire crew, is something no amount of technology can remove. It's the human burden behind the world's quietest weapon. So after hearing all of this, it's easy to wonder if these machines are even real. The specifications sound exaggerated. The silence feels impossible. The idea that something this large could simply vanish in the ocean borders on science fiction, but none of it appeared overnight, and none of it is imaginary. What we're seeing now is the result of decades of secret research, countless tests, and lessons learned the hard way beneath the waves. Every advance in silence came from a problem that had to be solved. Noise that gave a position away, a vibration that traveled too far, a system that couldn't stay hidden long enough. Over time, engineers learned how to eliminate each one, layer by layer, until submarines stopped sounding like machines at all. What seems unbelievable today is really the accumulated knowledge of generations of sailors and designers who lived and worked in total secrecy. And there's a final, unsettling truth that often gets overlooked. The Columbia class, the most powerful weapon ever built, was created with the single hope that it never has to be used. Its purpose isn't destruction, it's prevention. It exists to make the cost of war so high that no one dares to start one. A weapon built not to fire, but to wait. That leaves us with a question that has no easy answer. Does building quieter, more powerful machines make the world safer? Or does it simply raise the stakes to terrifying new heights? That debate is far from over. As unsettling as all of this sounds, there's one final detail that often goes unnoticed. These submarines don't just change how wars are fought, they change how decisions are made. When leaders know that a silent, undetectable force is always out there, waiting beneath the ocean, it alters every calculation. Plans that might look bold on paper suddenly become reckless. Threats lose their power when the response can come from anywhere, at any time, without warning. This is why submarines like the Columbia class are sometimes described as weapons of peace. Not because they're harmless, but because their presence discourages action altogether. No dramatic launch, no visible show of force, just the quiet certainty that escalation leads nowhere good. It's a form of power that works best when no one talks about it and nothing ever happens. And yet, that same silence carries a risk. The more invisible these systems become, the more they rely on trust, restraint, and flawless judgment. There are no second chances in the deep ocean. No room for misunderstanding or panic. As technology removes humans further from the moment of action, the margin for error grows thinner. So the future beneath the waves is both calming and terrifying. A world kept stable by ghosts no one can see, armed with power no one wants to use. Whether that balance holds is something only time will answer. And that brings the story full circle, back to the quiet surface of the ocean where this all began. To the rest of the world, the sea looks empty and calm. Cargo ships pass, waves roll in. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. But far below, steel ghosts are moving through the darkness, executing missions that will never make headlines and shaping outcomes no one will ever witness directly. The Columbia class and the future SSNX represent the endpoint of a long evolution. Decades of engineering focused on a single idea. Silence is power. Not the loud, explosive kind that dominates history books, but the kind that operates unseen, influencing events simply by existing. These submarines don't need to prove themselves. Their effectiveness depends on uncertainty, on the fact that no one can ever be sure where they are or what they're watching. In a world increasingly driven by visibility, surveillance, and constant noise, these machines stand apart. They are designed to disappear, to wait, and to ensure that some lines are never crossed. Whether that makes the future more stable or more fragile is still up for debate. But one thing is certain: as long as these silent guardians patrol the deep, the ocean will never truly be empty again. There's a final irony to all of this that's hard to ignore. The most advanced machines humanity has ever built aren't chasing glory, territory, or victory. They're built to do the opposite, to make sure nothing happens at all. No explosions on camera, no dramatic turning points, just long stretches of silence where the outcome is decided simply because someone chose not to act. And that may be the most unsettling part. Power used to be something you could see. Armies on borders, missiles on launch pads, fleets on the horizon. Now it lives in places no one can look, commanded by people who hope they never received the order they trained their entire lives to carry out. The future of deterrence isn't loud, it's patient, and it's invisible. So the next time the ocean looks calm and empty, remember this: absence doesn't mean safety. It often means control. Somewhere beneath the surface, a decision may already have been made. Not to strike, not to escalate, not to begin a a war. And in a world shaped by silent machines, that choice might be the loudest statement of power there is. And that leaves us with the uncomfortable truth at the heart of it all. These submarines don't protect peace because they are kind or restrained. They protect peace because the alternative is unthinkable. Their silence isn't passive, it's deliberate, calculated, and backed by consequences so severe that no rational actor wants to test them. Peace in this case exists not because war is impossible, but because it would be catastrophic. What makes this era different is how little warning there would be if that balance ever failed. No buildup of troops, no visible countdown, just a quiet chain of decisions made far from public view. That's the trade-off of invisible power. It stabilizes the world, but it also hides the moment when everything could change. So as technology pushes deeper into autonomy, silence, and artificial intelligence, the real question isn't how advanced these machines can become. It's whether humanity can remain disciplined enough to control them. Because once weapons are built to operate unseen, the responsibility shifts entirely to the people behind them, and history shows that restraint is never guaranteed. In the end, the ocean doesn't announce what it's hiding. It never has. And beneath its surface, the future of global security continues to move in total silence, waiting to be tested, or ideally never tested at all. And yet, despite all the secrecy, the advanced technology, and the staggering firepower, one fact remains undeniable. These submarines are human endeavors first and machines second. Every silent patrol, every stealth maneuver, every unmanned swarm controlled from miles away depends on the skill, discipline, and courage of the sailors who operate them. Technology alone doesn't make a deterrent effective. People do. Inside the cramped, artificial world of a Columbia or Virginia-class sub, every decision carries weight. A single misstep, a tool dropped, a valve left open, a command misunderstood, can compromise the mission or even put lives at risk. For the crews, the pressure is constant. The isolation, the confined spaces, the long stretches without sunlight, and the knowledge that the world above doesn't see or understand their work create a unique mental strain that few could endure. Yet it's this human precision that transforms steel and circuitry into a force the world respects and fears. The submarines may vanish beneath the waves, but their presence is felt in every calculation of global strategy. Every quiet patrol, every untraceable maneuver, every system running perfectly under pressure reinforces a simple truth. Deterrence doesn't need to shout. Sometimes the loudest statement is made in complete silence. And as the next generation, the SSNX and the robotic swarms, prepares to join the deep-sea fleet, the stakes only grow higher. Technology will push limits further, but human responsibility will remain at the core. In the end, it is discipline, courage, and restraint that ensure these ghosts beneath the waves remain guardians, not catalysts of catastrophe. And as we look to the future, it becomes clear that the silent war beneath the waves is only just beginning. The Columbia class has redefined what it means to be a deterrent, while the upcoming SSNX promises to change the rules of engagement entirely. But these submarines aren't just weapons. They are statements, messages written in the steel and silence that the cost of aggression is simply too high to pay. Every innovation, from never refueled reactors to AI-controlled drone swarms, is designed not for spectacle, but for absolute effectiveness. The stakes are global, and the consequences of failure are unimaginable. In a world where conflicts can erupt in seconds, these machines give leaders a margin of safety, a pause to think, and a reason to restrain themselves. But that margin depends entirely on precision, discipline, and trust in the unseen. Ultimately, these submarines force a paradox. They are built to be the ultimate expression of power, yet their greatest strength lies in inaction. The more capable they become, the less likely they are ever used, and yet the more terrifying the world would be if they ever failed. In the oceans today, steel ghosts glide silently, unmoving in appearance, but shaping history in ways no one can see. And that is the true power of the modern undersea fleet: quiet, invisible, and unstoppable, even when doing nothing at all. Even with all this technology and power, the human element remains the most critical part of the equation. These submarines are filled with crews who must operate flawlessly in environments that push both body and mind to the limit. Every decision matters, every choice, every sound, every movement. One small mistake can compromise not only the mission, but the safety of the entire crew. Life aboard a submarine is extreme. For months at a time, sailors live without sunlight, without normal human contact, and without any connection to the world above. Days are measured by artificial light, by rotating shifts, and by the silent hum of the machinery that keeps them alive. The pressure is constant, literally and figuratively. Yet it is this human discipline and resilience that transforms cold steel and circuits into a weapon the world respects and fears. And as the fleet evolves, with robotic swarms, AI-assisted battle networks, and the unmatched stealth of the Columbia and SSNX classes, the line between human and machine begins to blur. The submarines may operate silently, but the people inside them are what make that silence meaningful. Without skill, restraint, and courage, the technology alone could never guarantee deterrence. This is the hidden reality of undersea power. The quietest, deadliest machines rely on the sharpest, most disciplined minds to operate. And that combination, human and machine working perfectly together, is what ensures that the oceans remain a place of strategic advantage, not chaos. Looking ahead, the future of underwater warfare is both awe-inspiring and unnerving. The Columbia-class boats and their successors are just the beginning. With each new generation, submarines are becoming faster, quieter, and more autonomous. The SSNX promises to take this even further, acting as a command center for robotic swarms capable of executing complex missions while remaining completely undetected. But with this leap in technology comes new challenges. The more advanced these systems become, the more they depend on flawless human judgment and cutting-edge artificial intelligence. One small error, one miscalculation, could ripple through the oceans with consequences that no one could predict. The balance of power is delicate, and these submarines are both guardians and symbols of that fragility. What makes this era unique is that deterrence is no longer about visible might. It's about uncertainty, about a silent presence that could strike from anywhere, at any time, without warning. It's a reminder that the future of warfare doesn't need to be loud to be decisive. And it also forces the world to consider a profound question. Can humans maintain the discipline, restraint, and strategic foresight required to manage forces this powerful and invisible? The oceans may seem calm on the surface, but beneath them, history is being shaped in total silence by machines and people that the world will never see until the moment it matters most. In the end, the most powerful weapons ever built aren't those that roar or blaze across the sky. They are the ones that vanish beneath the waves, operating in silence, patience, and absolute precision. The Columbia-class submarines, the Virginia-class hunters, and the next generation SSNX are proof that true power doesn't need to be seen to be felt. Their presence alone reshapes strategy, enforces deterrence, and keeps the world in balance, all without a single headline or explosion. These machines are reminders of a paradox. The quieter and more invisible they are, the louder their impact on global security becomes. They exist not to fight, but to prevent fighting. And while the technology is extraordinary, it is the courage, discipline, and resilience of the sailors that transforms these steel ghosts into instruments of deterrence that the world must reckon with. So the next time you gaze over the ocean, remember this. Beneath the calm surface, there are unseen forces shaping history in ways most people will never comprehend. Silent, hidden, and unstoppable. The future of undersea power is already here. If you found this fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below. Does knowing these machines exist make the world safer, or does it make it far scarier? Either way, the oceans will never feel empty again.